Have you ever watched someone get pushed to their breaking point and wondered what they would do next? Most people expect anger, tears, or desperate pleading. But sometimes, the quietest decision becomes the loudest lesson of all. This is the unforgettable story of a single father who was given an impossible choice by his powerful CEO. What happened next shocked an entire company and changed lives in ways no one could have imagined. Stay with me until the very end, because this story isn't just about standing up for yourself. It's about kindness, dignity, and the incredible power of treating people with respect. You may never look at your workplace, or the people around you, the same way again. Before we begin, if you enjoy heartwarming stories that remind us why kindness still matters, please take a moment to subscribe to Be Kind Always, give this video a like, and leave a comment sharing where you're watching from. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories that touch hearts around the world. Daniel Harper was a hardworking single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Every morning before sunrise, he packed her lunch, braided her hair as best as he could after watching countless online tutorials, and walked her to the school bus before rushing to work. Life wasn't easy, but Daniel never complained. He believed that love was shown through small, consistent actions, even when no one noticed. Daniel worked as a project manager for one of the biggest technology companies in Chicago. His co-workers respected him because he was honest, dependable, and always willing to help. If someone stayed late to finish a project, Daniel stayed too. If a new employee felt overwhelmed, Daniel quietly offered guidance without expecting praise. But there was one person who never seemed to notice his dedication. The company's CEO, Richard Coleman, had built a reputation for demanding perfection. He believed that personal problems should never interfere with business. To him, results mattered more than people. One rainy Tuesday morning, Daniel received a call from Lily's school. She had suddenly developed a high fever, and someone needed to pick her up immediately. Daniel quickly informed his supervisor and prepared to leave. Before he reached the elevator, Richard stepped out of a conference room. "Where do you think you're going?" Richard asked sharply. "My daughter is sick. The school called. I need to get her," Daniel replied respectfully. Richard crossed his arms. "We have an important client presentation in 1 hour. I've already shared all the files with the team. They'll be fine." Richard stared at him for a long moment before saying words that echoed through the silent hallway. "Do as I said, or quit." Several employees froze. Nobody spoke. Daniel looked around at the nervous faces of his co-workers. He could have argued. He could have begged. Instead, he took a slow breath. "Okay," he said quietly. He walked back to his desk. People assumed he had chosen to stay. Instead, Daniel calmly opened a cardboard box, placed his family photo, coffee mug, notebooks, and a small drawing Lily had made for him inside it. The entire office watched in complete silence. Without raising his voice, Daniel carried the box to the lobby, handed over his security badge, thanked the receptionist for always greeting him with a smile, and walked out the front door. No one had expected him to choose his daughter over his career so calmly. That afternoon, Daniel picked Lily up from school, took her home, made her chicken soup, and stayed beside her until she fell asleep. Looking at her peaceful face, he knew he had made the right decision. Money would be tight. Finding another job wouldn't be easy. But some moments in life could never be replaced. The next morning, something unexpected happened. One employee who had witnessed everything shared the story online, not to embarrass the company, but to praise Daniel's courage and devotion as a father. Within hours, thousands of people had shared the post. Parents everywhere understood the impossible choice Daniel had faced. Comments poured in from mothers, fathers, teachers, nurses, and business owners. Many wrote, "Family should never be punished." Others shared similar stories of choosing loved ones over work. The story spread across the country. Soon, local news stations picked it up. Then national media. The company's public relations department suddenly found itself answering difficult questions. Customers began asking whether this was really how employees were treated. Investors grew concerned. Inside the company, morale dropped quickly. Employees who had stayed silent now admitted they had often been afraid to ask for time off, even during family emergencies. For the first time, Richard realized that leadership wasn't measured only by profits. It was measured by people. Meanwhile, Daniel wasn't thinking about headlines. He spent his days applying for jobs while caring for Lily. One afternoon, his doorbell rang. Standing outside was an older gentleman named Michael Sanders, founder of a successful family-owned business. "I've been following your story," Michael said with a warm smile. "I didn't come because you went viral. I came because I saw the kind of man you are." Daniel looked surprised. Michael continued. "A person who chooses kindness and family when nobody is applauding, that's exactly the kind of leader I want working with me." He offered Daniel a position with better pay, flexible hours, health benefits, and the freedom to put family first whenever truly needed. Daniel could hardly believe it. For the first time in years, hope replaced fear. Months later, Daniel's life had completely changed. He attended Lily's school plays. He never missed parent-teacher conferences. He still worked hard, but now he worked for people who believed employees were human beings before anything else. His new coworkers quickly noticed something special about him. Whenever someone struggled, Daniel was the first to help. Whenever someone made a mistake, he encouraged them instead of criticizing them. He understood what compassion looked like because he had lived without it. Back at his former company, Richard requested a meeting with every employee. He admitted he had made a terrible mistake. He apologized publicly for forcing an impossible choice. The company introduced new family-friendly policies, emergency leave protections, and leadership training focused on empathy and respect. Some people believed the changes came because of public pressure. Others believed Richard had genuinely learned an important lesson. Perhaps both were true. Several months later, Richard reached out to Daniel personally. "I don't expect forgiveness," he admitted. "But I wanted to thank you." Daniel looked confused. Richard smiled sadly. "You taught me something no business school ever could. People aren't machines. They're parents, children, husbands, wives, and human beings carrying invisible burdens every day." Daniel simply nodded. "We're all still learning," he replied. As they shook hands, there was no anger left between them. Only understanding. Years later, Lily would often tell people about her father. Not because he had quit his job, but because he had shown her what real courage looked like. He taught her that success means very little if it costs the people you love. He taught her that kindness isn't weakness. Sometimes kindness is the strongest choice a person can make. And sometimes walking away with dignity inspires more change than staying silent ever could. Every one of us will someday face a moment when doing the right thing feels risky. In those moments, remember Daniel's story. Choose compassion over fear. Choose people over pride. Treat others with the kindness and respect you hope to receive, because even the smallest act of kindness can change a family, a workplace, or even an entire community. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep spreading kindness wherever you go, because the world always needs a little more of it.